All right, Shalom. First off, I'm giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Harakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders and teachers of Great Millstone to rule well and teach well. It's Brother Howard Shai Zion. And I'm just coming through with this real quick lesson just to highlight more madness, because this is basically fascinating to me how these people are this delusional out in the open forum in public in Congress. And again, like, this is the things that people are talking about when there's so many other more critical issues, especially regarding finance, that are just not being tended to, literally. So this is the main focal point here of, society. This is wild, man. Just listen up, man.
Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's...
And again, that has nothing to do with anything. When anybody says something like that, they're weaponizing, that rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? And this rhetoric is basically the poison where in another clip, separate from this, in Piers Morgan's show, the lady Tommy something, I forgot her name, the attractive little Edomite, she was saying something about it starts here in America and then it spills over into other lands and stuff. And this is the wine of Babylon. And who you see on the screen right now, that's the main culprit right there, okay? The so-called BLACK woman. And you got to be careful how you label it because somebody's going to get offended. But you know what? It is what it is, that they are the culprit. What they do, all the women do. And then everybody does it in the society, and then it spills over to all the world, period. Anyway, listen in. This is madness.
Because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So
pregnant.
you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or
you see, that line of thought is so dangerous. Because when you introduce this to children, and remember, children have access to the internet now, and a lot of parents give them free reign on YouTube. So imagine they're just like checking out the news, you know what I'm saying? Even when I was younger, I used to watch the news or whatever. Imagine your child just watching this on the news, impressionable, young, mind is not really fully formed yet, trying to figure out what's going on. And this is what you run into, you know what I'm saying? And the swagger of the so-called black woman and all of that stuff that is really ultimately, first and foremost, a gift from the Most High is being used for bad, just like from the beginning, going off. So check it out.
they also treated like this, where
they're
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky, let me ask you something. So you provide health care to women free of charge, right? Is that right?
Absolutely.
You've done this for many years.
Yep.
You have licensed medical professionals at your pregnancy care centers. Is that right?
That is correct.
What are some of the resources that you provide for women who come to you in a time of need?
So-
Just give us you talked about it in your written testimony, but just give us a sense of it.
So we have 3 OBGYN doctors, 5 registered nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, phlebotomists, medical assistants, and we provide prenatal care, OBGYN care. We provide pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, well woman visits, breast exams. We provide a wide range of medical services, yes.
So, what do you think about the DC politicians now saying that your clinic and the other 3,000 pregnancy care centers around this country are fake medical clinics? For instance, Senator Warren has said it's now more important than ever to crack down on so-called crisis pregnancy centers that mislead and deceive patients. Senator Menendez, crisis pregnancy centers jeopardize women's health and well-being, all while elevating unproven theories about birth control. Senator Warner wrote to Google asking them to censor search results for care centers like yours, saying directing women to fake clinics that traffic in misinformation is dangerous to women's health and undermines the integrity of Google's search results. Do you run a fake clinic? I mean, is that what's happening here? You don't provide actual medical care to actual women?
We absolutely do not run a fake clinic, and we have a full medical staff. Like I said, many of our medical professionals have experienced abortion for themselves, including our OBGYN doctor who used to perform abortions. So our entire medical staff is there for women, whether they choose abortion and walk out the door or whether they choose life for their baby, and we support them for years after that.
Do you think there ought to be an ideological test to be able to get medical care in this country? I mean, should we say to women, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' ideology, otherwise you can't go get medical care? Or maybe for you and the physicians who work at your pregnancy care center or the thousands of others across the country, should we impose an ideological test on them and say that, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' position on abortion or you can't provide medical care to women? Should we do that in this country?
Absolutely not.
I just want to ask in my few remaining seconds here, Ms. Harley, the Dobbs.
Now, if you can't tell America is going down the drain, I mean, that's just, I don't know what to tell you. Even proposing these questions, it's just absolutely appalling. It's unbelievable. You know, I mean, these people are out of their minds. People are just out of their damn minds, man. I wanted to get to this one lady. This one right here. Okay, so we went through this one. She couldn't even answer the damn question, but there was somebody else that grilled her too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let me see which one it was. Okay, this one right here. Yeah, this is the one right here. This is hilarious. So let's look at more confusion. This is so confusing.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of our witnesses here today. Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are 2 sexes, but there can be more than 2 genders?
I wouldn't even say 2, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
Okay, but
All right. So this is the poison and the confusion that we're dealing with. So this person here is a boss demon. You could simply tell. And it goes all the way back to right here again. Revelation 18:2 says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, in the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And that means that they accepted their philosophies. America's philosophy of, well, you can identify as this, and you could be a non-binary, trans, and it even got to the point where you could label yourself a potato, that there was 100 genders and numbers are included in that. And just, man, that's a whole separate another video I want to do. But, man, this is truly an example of this, man. It's just an example, dead serious. So let me just keep going back to this.
But I'm trying to understand, do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is a sign
there are
of birth.
three? I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology, male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. But
Intersex.
again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
And
say
what does intersex mean?
is that there's a difference between sex and gender. And I think in these conversations, we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with,
Yeah, see, he just asked a direct question. And one of the tactics of somebody who is typical of a liar or someone who's avoiding truth is that they can't directly answer a direct question, because they know if they do, they're in checkmate, and they will do anything due to their pride to avoid checkmate. So these are all psychological tactics and maneuvers, and really defensive maneuvers, and typical of a liar, okay?
sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third sex.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing. Today I can tell you,
More
I talk
than
to young
five?
people
More
that
than-
talk about non-binary as
More than five?
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying
But
to say.
are there more than five genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than five genders?
Well, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate.
You see, once again, avoiding the question that was direct, because it's typical of a liar, a narcissist, a psychopath, a person that's on the warpath spiritually to try to defraud and defame truth. And that's just simply not going to happen. That is simply not going to happen. Okay? Let's go to the scriptures real quick. And, this is the type of rhetoric that is absolutely dangerous. And, we figured this out real quick. This is Isaiah 8:20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them. All right, so that person there is just kind of literally talking nonsense, and these people don't understand, and they're definitely not going to believe in the word of the Lord. Because to them it's not true, but we fall on truth based on the accomplishment of prophecies that were said way before time. So we have a more sure word of prophecy. These people can't follow prophecy because they don't believe in anything that's truth. See what I'm saying? This is Acts 17:11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. See, most of these people, if they actually sat down with us and searched the scriptures with us, we would certainly prove the point that the Bible's the truth and the scriptures are written in a perfect way that basically define and describe how to conduct your life. Of course, if you're an Israelite, obviously, and how to rule your household well and to train your children in the way that they should go and to not offend the Lord nor defraud your neighbor. And in turn, you'd be accomplishing all the royal law, loving thy neighbor as thyself. And if truly you loved these people, you'd correct them, and the Lord chastises those he loves. The reason why these people are not getting chastised is because he doesn't love them. You know what I'm saying? He hates the wicked and he's angry with the wicked every day. So these people, they're allowed to prosper because they're going to be destroyed eventually. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's preserving the wicked for the day of destruction. Okay, so back to this creature here.
For their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than 5?
I wouldn't
See, she's very cavalier in that she's wearing pants, but then you know why she's saying that is because it all ties back to this. When you go back to the scriptures, okay. Deuteronomy 22:5 says, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are abomination unto the Lord Yahweh thy power." Okay, so that is just plain and simple. She's talking about, things progressively changing, and things don't progressively change. All right. And that's why, ultimately the Israelites were scattered for breaking all of these things, thinking that, things are progressing. And really what's happening is this here. This is 2 Timothy 2 and 2 Timothy 3:1. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." And this is a dangerous time here. "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud," which that lady is proud, "blasphemers," which she's a blasphemer, "disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy." She's that too, unholy. "Without natural affection," which she's describing right now. "Truce breakers, false accusers," which she's also. "Incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good," and that's her. "Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away." So this is the type of person you turn away from, that woman.
subject myself to naming how many genders
This creature can't even answer the direct question. Are there more than 5? Yes or no? She can't do it.
there are, but what I can say is
there
that
an
gender is a
infinite
reflection.
number?
Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also
You see that? So that's where, when you blend these so-called cultures all together in America, you get the Revelation 18 and 3 come into fruition. Okay, it's coming to light. Basically, that America is the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. It's of every foul spirit. That's why you can't do that. That's out of order. It breeds confusion.
say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore what their identities are, what their gender identities are.
Let's get back to athletics. I think I understand what you're saying. There are 3 sexes, male, female, and intersex.
I believe that to be true, but again, I'm not a physician.
And
so
there are an infinite number of genders because
She said, "I believe that to be true." So that's your personal belief. You can't bring that into the doctrine, man, because it's going against truth. People are out of their mind.
gender is a mental state.
Gender is about expression, and I think that there are a variety of ways that you can express your gender.
Okay, so there's infinite number.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's figure this out here. Gender defined. Figure it out. Gender says the male sex or the female sex, especially when considered with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones, or one of a range of other identities that do not correspond to established ideas of male and female. Okay, so and that's even confusing. So now the dictionary in Oxford's not even defining it properly. It's ridiculous, man. It says now, second one in grammar, it says in languages such as Latin, Greek, Russian, and German, each of the classes typically masculine, feminine, common, neuter, it says of nouns and pronouns distinguished by the different inflections that they have to require. Okay, so that's in grammar. So simple. They just can't even show the definition of this, man. Genus. That's what it's supposed to be. Your genus. What genes do you have? Are you XY chromosome or are you XX chromosome? What is your genus? What is your birth or family origin? That's what it's supposed to be. And the fact that you can't even find a proper definition is absolutely out of control, man. I got to search for the definition. I got to search for this, man. Let's look at Merriam-Webster. Genders. It says a subclass within a grammatical class, such as a noun, pronoun, adjective, or verb, partly based distinguishable characters, shape, social rank. Okay. Let's go back to it. Definition 2, sex, the feminine gender, the behavioral, cultural, or psychological traits typically associated with one sex. So they won't even go straight at it. Gender identity, C. Those seeking state driver's license in Massachusetts are closer to being able to designate their gender as X instead of male or female. And man, listen, when I went to use the bathroom or whatever at this restaurant, it said all gender, all gender. It didn't even say male or female or none of that. Men's room, ladies' room. It said all gender. So we're at a pinnacle here of confusion in this country, and that's ultimately going to lead to the destruction and demise, and which is a good thing, you know.
All right, let's go back to the biology. Male, female, boy, girl, okay? Biologically, do males have an advantage over females biologically in sports?
Again, I'm not a physician and I can't speak to that.
What's your real world experience?
It depends. I mean, there are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many?
So this guy just like, yo, I'm done with this. I can't do this no more. They just doing this to expose these people, which I'm glad the Congress is doing this. You know, however, they really shouldn't be even engaging with people like this. But the Lord is doing it just to show everybody, you know, what a fool and clown these other people are, man. You know, this guy's doing his thing over here.
Female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, you know, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Okay. I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
You see, you got a sane, regular Edomite woman who's sane. not under the curses of Deuteronomy. And then you have an absolute savage creature in the so-called black woman who is under the curses of Deuteronomy. Because just look how disheveled and confused and strange she looks. Look at this, man.
I think you lose a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want the world to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against.
No, she doesn't want the world to be a better place. It's a pseudo projected worldview that they use as a cloak for their maliciousness. And they describe it in basically a term that cannot be condemned, or the mob will come after you, like Piers Morgan said. But anyway, listen.
Because of an immutable characteristic, I don't. And I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business. But if